Thank you, everybody, for being here. Another meeting of Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers. Monday morning in Oregon. I know that it's Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday night around the world. Couple quick things. While you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Stay on camera if at all possible, because it's so much more engaging when we can all see each other. I have nothing else to add other than this is going to be a great meeting. Our president, Yasmin Tawala, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Afam, for opening the meeting and setting the tone. So I am so excited to see my RSS family. Welcome you all. Welcome you all in person. I'm very happy to see many of you are back from your vacation. I'm looking at Mary. I hope you had a good time. Christina, always nice to see you. Happy to have you, Melba, and the guests who are, many of them are the visiting guests. So Stephen, Kathy, Akib, welcome to our RSS meeting. And I see a guest for first time, that's Huang. Huang, are you with us? Is it possible for you to unmute yourself and just present yourself very briefly to us as to how do you know about our club? Are you a Toastmaster already?
Bomb, she's speaking to you.
Are you there, Hong? Okay.
She's here because of me, but she's shy.
Okay, it's just the beginning. I'm sure towards the end of the meeting, you won't be shy anymore and we'll get to hear you. So welcoming you all, and we are waiting for an exciting meeting because we have Rukaiya as the Toastmaster of the day. And when we know when it is the VPE taking up as TMOD, it's fun, excitement, and perhaps much more learning. So I will now give the floor to Rukaiya to please carry forward the meeting. It's all yours, Rukaiya.
Thank you, Ms. President, for a warm welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my dear RSS family and esteemed guests of RSS. The theme for today's meeting is back to school. Now, I was very excited to keep this theme because school has always been one of the most pleasurable moments of my life. One of the most cherishing memory that I have about my school days is me taking a part in all types of cultural activities. I have always been very fond of taking part in cultural activities, and for the same, I have got many scoldings from my mom. Because every second day, I wanted some different type of dress. I wanted some different type of articles. I wanted makeup. I wanted my hair done every other morning. And this was really irritating for her. And for the same, I have got many scoldings. But me being me, I never backed off from taking part in the cultural activities. So the meeting today won't be a pre-decided one. We'll just dwell into remembering the memories that we all had in our school days. With that, I would first like to introduce all the role players, and I will ask them some of the other memories they have regarding their school days. First of all, I would like to call upon our grammarian of the day, Christina, to come up and elaborate her role.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. It's my pleasure to be your grammarian for today. And the role is in two parts. The first part is to select a word of the day. And in keeping with our back to school theme, I'm selecting the word foundation. So foundation is the basis or groundwork of anything. So, for example, foundation is the moral foundation of both society and religion. it's the natural or prepared base on which some structure rests, or it's the act of setting something up, setting up a foundation. But at school is the foundation for our lives. So that's why I chose it. So please try and add that word into your speeches and roles during today, please. And the second part of my role is to pick up on really good uses of English and not so good uses of English. And I'll come back to you later in the meeting. Thank you.
Christina, I would like to know one of the most cherishing or the memorable memory that you have about your school days, which you cherish forever.
Rakaya, that's an interesting one. The first thing that comes to my mind is leaving. That was a very cherished memory, and moving on to something that I personally felt was more worthwhile and more pleasurable, where I had less being told what to do and more choices. So I would select leaving school was my most pleasurable moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I'm sure leaving was one of the most cherishing moments for every student going to school. Now, I would like to call upon our accounter of the day, who is also the guest of RSS, Stephen. Stephen, please come up and elaborate your role.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raku. I'm Stephen, a very senior guest of RSS, I would say, because I've been here for many times. For my role, I'm going to pay attention to the and, so, like, all these filler words you guys are using when you are delivering your speech. So at the end of the meeting, I will deliver a report regarding your performance for this. Back to you. Thank you.
Stephen, would you like to help us by communicating that what was the most horrible memory you had about your school days?
Most horrible moment. Yeah, I would say it's not a horrible, but it's very sad moment. It's the day I left my university. So my teacher, I have two teachers, they are from England. So they were sending me off at the train station. I still remember, it's very sad for me because I love to talk to them. I was very close to them. And it's heartbreaking. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Stephen. Now see, we have seen two phases of leaving. One which was most cherished and one which was really sad. Let's call upon our timer, Melva, who is always smiling. And I want to steal that from you, I swear. Melva, please come up and elaborate your role.
Okay, thanks a lot, our Toastmaster of the day. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Melva. Today, I'm your timer. My job is to record the time of your speech. And today we have special speaker that Tiger has to speak for 20 minutes, and green for 15. Yellow for acting, and red for 20 minutes. And I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it. And then for table topic session, participant can also speak for 1 to 2 minutes. 1 minute for green, 30 seconds for yellow, and 2 minutes for red. And also, I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it. And for evaluators, you need to speak for 2 minutes. 2 for green, yellow for 30 seconds, and 3 minutes for red. And yeah, I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it. I think that's it. Back to you, Ruku.
Thank you, Malva. Can you please answer for us that any winning moment of your school days could be any cultural activities, could be any sports, or you be ranking in the class, any winning moment?
Ranking moment that when I was in high school at that time feels like in my school, if we were smart, like the top of the people, we get scholarship, and I'm addicted to get it. I don't know, it's like to get scholarship and school fee. Yeah, everyone want that. Yeah, we need to competitive, and I did it. I think that's it. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Malva, for your answer. Now, moving on, we will have 3 sessions of the meeting. First is prepared speech, second, table topics, and third, the evaluation round. For the prepared speech round, we today have just one speaker, and it would be very special as it is a question and answer session of 20 minutes. For the prepared speech session, I would like to call upon our only speaker, Tiger, whose pathway is level 4, question and answer, persuasive influence. And the title of his speech is Speech, SPEECH. Tiger, please come up.
Thank you, everybody. This is a question and answer session. I'm going to give you a speech, and then we're going to have a question and answer session. I'm a former teacher, so I'm warning you, if you don't ask me questions, I will ask you questions. So please come up with a question for me, and we will have a discussion. So let me start. There was a survey done a few years ago. The number one fear in the world is, yes, you guessed it, public speaking. Death was number 2. Death was number 2. So let's put this in perspective. You go to a funeral, more people are afraid of being up there speaking than they are of being in the casket. I have the solution. The very simple acronym. I guarantee you that if you follow this acronym, you will be able to speak fearlessly, even at a funeral. S, structure. Every speech needs to have a structure, a beginning, a body, a conclusion. Especially because this is a storytelling club, let's talk about the structure of storytelling. The first thing is conflict. You start with the problem. During the body of your story, there are failed resolutions to the conflict. And then there's the ending, a resolution. It doesn't have to be a happy ending. They walked into the sunset. They were happily ever after. But there needs to be a resolution. Let me give you an example. I got a job in college climbing trees. I am deathly afraid of heights. My partner gave me one piece of advice: don't look down. And all I could think of was, I'm too young to die. I spent the rest of that summer climbing trees and overcoming this intense fear of heights. The last tree I climbed, I went all the way to the top. I was 100 meters off the ground, holding on to a branch about this big, completely on top of the world, looking at the mountain, swinging back and forth, yelling, freedom! Yes! My partner thought I was falling out of the tree. I've never felt that much peace in my life. Conflict, fear of heights, failed solutions, trying to get over it, resolution. I finally overcame my fear. Second is practice. This is the hard part. My speech coach in college taught me this. For every minute of a speech, you should practice for 1 hour. 1 hour for every minute. I worked with a district champion last year. She was a defending district champion. She gave her speech, are you ready for this? To practice 50 times. She got evaluated 50 times, and then she spent another 10 to 12 hours with me. Now that's dedication, 10 to 12 hours with me, just to improve her speech a little bit. You have to practice. E, enthusiasm. Number 1, rule of Toastmasters, know your audience. Come up with a subject that you're enthusiastic about, something that they're going to be enthusiastic about. I'm assuming you guys are all enthusiastic about speaking. Why would you be here? Number 2, E, engagement. This is Toastmasters at its best. There's 3 things that are very important here. Number 1, eye contact. Eye contact on Zoom is frustrating. I want to see you, the audience. I want to see your reaction. But when I look at the camera, it looks like I'm looking at you. So you have to look at that silly light. I know, it's frustrating. But it is important. Body contact. We've all seen people sit right in front of the camera and talk. Get out, move around, have some fun with your speeches. Vocal variety. Don't bore them. Use pauses. Change your vocal. It is important. Let me give you an example. Today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. Why worry? Tiger. Today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. So why worry? You have to engage your audience. C, communicate a message. Your audience is giving you 5 to 7 precious minutes of their life. Let them walk away with something that's important. I remember one evaluator, this is actually funny because he was talking about me, got up to do his evaluation. This is what he said. That is 6 minutes and 30 seconds of my life that I'll never get back. I thought it was funny. My sense of humor. Give them something that's important. Now the message can be simple. My favorite world champion was a humor speech. He talked about fixing a flat tire. He won the world championship talking about fixing a flat tire. His message was very simple. Sometimes it's okay to ask for help. Your message can be informative. Last week we had a great informative meeting from Sarah talking about music and how important it is worldwide. Your message could be life-changing. I heard a speech almost 3 years ago now about someone that overcame suicidal depression. That speech sent me on a path to where I am today, because at that time I was severely depressed. So your message can be simple, it can be informative, it can be very serious, but have something that they walk away with. H, if you know me, I say the best for last. And if you know me, H is obvious. Humor. People like to laugh. Let me give you an example. A very serious speech about judgment, and this is how the speaker started. Before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. At that point, what do you care? You're a mile away and you have his shoes. Now, this is a humorous quote to start out a very serious speech. It takes the edge off. It gives your audience kind of a moment to breathe and go, oh, okay, I'm going to learn something, but I'm also going to get a chance to laugh. Getting back to the speech on suicide. This guy made me laugh 4 times on a speech about suicide. Add humor to your speeches. S, structure. Be organized, stay on task. P, practice, practice, practice. E, be enthusiastic. E, use your Toastmaster skills, eye contact, body language, vocal variety. C, have them walk away with something, give them a message, communicate a message. And H, add some humor. I guarantee if you follow this simple acronym, I guarantee you will be able to speak fearlessly at a funeral. Just hopefully not my funeral. Toastmaster. She's looking at me going, well, it's not my turn. Questions and answers. Anybody have a question for me? I'm warning you, if you don't ask me a question, I'm going to ask you one.
Hey, Tiger, I have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Stephen.
I thought that we had to ask yesterday at the meeting, you were talking about the suicide, but I didn't have the story even today. I'm looking forward to that suicide story to elaborate more here.
No, I can't. However, keep coming, because in a couple of weeks, I am giving that speech again. I'm bringing that speech out of the closet. So yes, I will do that.
Okay. Looking.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so let me generate some questions. Here's what I want you to do. Put in chat. What is the most, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Did someone have
You
a
have
question?
to raise hands. Yeah. Mary and myself have a question.
Sorry. I see some raised hands here. Okay, go ahead, Mary. Thank you.
What encouraged you to do this speech? How did you get this idea for this speech?
That's a really funny question. I was going to give an evaluation just a month ago, and I'm so bored with evaluations. So I was thinking, how do I do a creative evaluation? And just out of my brain popped this speech, and I did an evaluation using this formula. It keeps me on task, and it was different. The idea was born. It just popped, literally just popped in my head because I was looking for a way to overcome the boredom of evaluating. And there you go. Oh, and the funny thing, the first time I gave this speech, my evaluator's comment was, well, you talked about how important humor is, but you didn't have any humor in your speech. My comment was, well, I did that on purpose just to see if you were paying attention. And as you can tell, with that evaluation, I took that to heart and I added a little humor. It's mean.
Tiger. I many times wonder when I prepare a speech, when I get into the structures and the elements of a speech, I somehow get out of my skin. I have a unique individuality. And the question is this: how can we keep our individuality intact while we follow the different structures of speech?
Wow. It's interesting that district champion I worked with, this was one of my comments to her, is that it almost seemed like she was an actress. And my biggest comment to her was, just be yourself. Just be yourself. It comes across so disingenuous when you're trying to be someone else or you're trying to be formal. Just be yourself. You are unique. And Yasmin, yes, you are especially unique. Every one of us has our own personality. Don't try to speak like me. Don't try to speak like Yasmin. I watched all the champions the last 10 years, and every one of them is different. And I pick up little bits and pieces from everybody. But when it comes to my speeches, I'm me. You have to be. So do your speech, get some evaluation, but be yourself and tell your story. I don't care what your story is. I'm doing a contest speech on suicide. People have told me I'm crazy. That's too serious. I don't care. It's my message. People can take it or leave it. Amy.
Michelle was before me. Or they're coming up
We
in a
always
row.
we always save Michelle for last because we save the best for last.
Okay.
Battery won't get you anywhere, Tiger. The question is, so how does it feel to finally realize how magical an acronym is?
Okay,
And
now
that's a
this
private joke between Tiger and me. Yes, Tiger.
this is another funny story because if you guys know Michelle, she loves giving speeches with acronyms, and I have made fun of her for years. But here's the beauty of an acronym: it keeps you on task. You're thinking to yourself, okay, E, what is the, oh yeah, E is engaged. So it is for a longer speech, and especially an informative speech, it is. And I used to do acronyms all the time as a teacher. So this is a private joke. Acronyms work, but don't overdo it. And Michelle, to her credit, hasn't done a speech on acronyms for quite a while. So we're ready for another one, Michelle. And guest Charles. Oh, no, Amy. Sorry, Amy. I was gonna blow by you again there.
Okay. Now, a thing that I play around with a bit is drawing the line between memorizing and having a really scripted speech and having a level of improv in the speech. And what is your recommendations on that?
My recommendation is that you memorize, and I mean memorize everything, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, the introduction and the conclusion. So in other words, the first things you say and the last thing you say should be memorized. In between, it's really up to you how confident you are in your ability to improvise. I play and play and play with what I'm going to say. Some of the things I said today, quite frankly, I had never rehearsed. It just seemed like a good idea at the time. But you have to be careful with that. You want to know your message. You want to know generally what you want to say, what you convey. I think the more you rehearse it, the better. But again, you don't want to look mechanical.
Yeah.
And this is where when you watch the world champions, you watch them, you know they've rehearsed this thing 1,000 times, but they make it look like they're just talking to you sitting in the living room, that they just made it up a minute ago. It's difficult. But memorize your beginning and your end. You memorize the beginning because after you get your beginning out, you relax. People don't realize it. I didn't eat breakfast. You know why I didn't eat breakfast? Because if I eat breakfast before I speak, I will puke. That's the honest truth. I am always nervous before I speak. So you get it out. The first things you say, you can breathe. And then your finish is important. Your finish is critical. That's the last thing people hear. In between, I wish I had a magic formula, but it's really up to the individual and how confident you are.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tiger.
You're welcome. Thank you. Great question. Good. Everybody, great questions. Charles?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. The question is, do you use speech? Is letter stand for factor or fundamental for the speech? If you can choose only one letter and one factor, what would you choose?
I didn't quite catch that. Your audio, I don't know if it's just me, but your audio wasn't very good. But can you say that again?
You mentioned some key factors to a good speech, like structure, like prepare, engagement, eye contact. Each letter stands for a key factor, which fundamental or foundation for a good speech. If you can only choose one, which one you want to choose? Which one is the most important for a speech in your mind?
Well, I think the most important thing in any speech is structure, because if you don't have structure, it doesn't matter how engaging you are. It doesn't matter how funny you are. if your speech is all over the place. And trust me, I've tried to wing speeches, and be honest with yourself. Everyone tries to wing a speech, especially those that have been in Toastmasters for 20, 30 years. They think, oh, I've done this 100 times, I can do this. No, you can't. Sorry. If you don't have a structure, if you don't have a clear idea about your beginning, what you want to talk about in the middle, and a conclusion, your speech is going to come out like you didn't practice. The elephant in the room is practice. Seriously, when's the last time you committed an hour for every minute of your speech? Be honest with yourself, you haven't done it. Most people don't. You know who does it? World champions. That's who do that, and district champions. So if you're just going to wing a speech, it's going to come out like a winged speech. So the structure is absolutely critical. Anybody else? Going once.
I guess
We have
Katie
Kathy.
raised her hand.
What's that, Riku?
Hello,
Kathy.
Tiger. I have a question.
Oh, sorry, Kathy. Go.
Yes,
Sorry.
you just mentioned the structure is most important, but I would like to know, do you have any basic logic about the structure?
Here's what I always tell people. Find something you want to talk about first. And I don't care about, I care about, that came out wrong. I care about pathways, but pick a speech, pick a topic that you're passionate about. You can find out where to put it in pathways. There's a lot of options in pathways. Talk about something that's important to you. If it's a personal story, if it's something you want to teach people. Again, the message doesn't have to be life altering, but pick something that's important to you first, and then start to put the structure together. And again, the beginning and the end are critical. How you start, what you say at the beginning and what you say at the end should connect, and they both need to be very strong. Speak about what's passionate. That's the easiest, most fun thing to do. Just speak about what you're passionate about. I'm passionate about speaking, so I speak about speaking. And I'm passionate about life. Well, I see red. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end with this. A conclusion in a speech should never be, oh, I see the red light, so I guess I'm done. I'll end with this. A DTM did this just recently, just recently. My evaluation was, that is the worst conclusion I've ever heard. So here you go. This is the worst conclusion you've ever heard. I see red, so I guess I'm done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Tiger, for the entertaining question and answer session. Now, I would like to move on to our second session of the meeting, which is impromptu speaking, the table topic session. And the table topic master for the meeting today is Amy. Amy, can you please elaborate that how the timings would work?
Sure. I'll explain the timings and I'll explain table topics. I am here to encourage impromptu speaking for everyone. I'm here to make sure you all start to sweat a little below your brow and start getting a bit nervous, knowing that I'm going to call one of you on and you're going to have to speak for anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes. And our timer will be clocking in to let you know how you're getting on between that time. I am going to encourage us to do a story today because we are a storytelling club and we are going back to school. So I want to invite all of us to go back into our past, and I'm going to give a little introduction to the story, and I will lead it on for one of our speakers to go with this. And the trick is that with each person who follows, they should be able to take up a lead from where the story was going. And then our final person has the mission of wrapping it up. So we're taking in what Tiger was telling us all there. We want to have structure. We want to have some, we can bring some conflict in, and we definitely want to have a conclusion. So if you can remember that with when you're coming in to listen, that's a big part of being a Toastmaster, is listening and follow on from what you heard before. Okay. We have just finished school. It's back in the early times. We're little. We're like 7, 8 years old. School's been great fun. Got our backpack on and we're about to set out. The first speaker that I would like to invite up onto the stage is Michelle. Michelle, will you set it up for us, please?
Oh, we just finished school and we're so excited. We've said our goodbyes to our teachers and sang our graduation songs and sang Auld Lang Syne. And we are ready to go up into the mountains for a camping trip. That's all very exciting until I realized mountains have lots of trees, lots of shrubs, bushes, snakes. Oh no, there's going to be snakes where we're going. Suddenly, I don't want to go. And Amy, do I call the next person or you do?
You can, no, but are you're done? You've got a bit more time, Michelle. You haven't even reached green yet.
Okay. But I also realized that it would be a nice opportunity. The long ride towards the mountains would be an opportunity to take a nap. Why am I thinking about taking a nap? Anybody who knows? I see Tiger is smiling. Yes, that long trip would give me the chance to take a nap because, oh yes, at 7 years old, we didn't have coffee yet. And the problem was we had a lot of sugar in our system. So it was actually almost an oxymoron to think of taking a nap. But also, if you've ever been where you have so much sugar that you're past the sugar high and you're actually getting drowsy because maybe your body is trying to counteract the effect of the sugar high. In any case, I would like to hear how our president, Yasmin, would continue on towards the mountains or wherever she will take us. Over to you, Yasmin.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for setting the scene. And together with Michelle, who was in our senior batch, we went because the seniors told us that this is the final day and you all have to come to us on the mountains. And we were so much more excited than the seniors who were actually having their last day because we thought they are going to tell us all the secrets, all the nicknames they used to give to the teachers. They will now pass the legacy to us. They will let us know that these are the names of your favorite teachers, which you should not tell in front of them. They are going to tell us the trick of how to rag, how to bully. And we were waiting for so many exciting experiences they are going to pass on to us as the next batch. But then what do we learn there? That these seniors, because of their over sugar consumption, are slowly getting into naps. That wasn't very exciting idea. And therefore, we had to pick up one of the most drowsy senior who was very heavy, physically heavy. And we knew that this person can make and wake all the seniors up so that we don't have to waste our time on the mountains just waiting for the seniors to finish their nap. We had to have the experience. So we picked up one of the bulkiest and most experienced senior who was just to take the nap. And that senior was Akib.
Yeah, Palkia Senior and me. What? My batchmates were very lousy. And I knew this from day one that they are not going to pass the baton. So I was like, it's okay. If no one will do, I will take that lead. And we started telling about our batch first because teachers were secondary to us. For us, it was our batchmates. We were very much excited to start into new territories. At the same time, we were a little sad because we were getting apart. So I just started with one of my friend. I pulled his leg, he pulled other legs, and that's how everyone started engaging. And when everyone was in full way, they were like now getting fully active, then we told our juniors that this time the moments that you are living is not going to come back. The moment that you're going to live is more than something which is precious. So live your life. Teachers are there. We have been very kind to them, and we urge you all also to be cooperative with our teachers because they are the one going to teach us the meaning of life. They are the one who are going to tell us how to get ahead in our life. So we didn't tell any secrets to Yasmin and anyone. We were like, no, you learn how to live the life, you learn how to get ahead, and you only will find ways for your future. And we're not going to do anything. We will just give you a path. And that path is something which was trailed behind by us. And juniors were very happy that we are not, our seniors are not doing, what do you call, spoon feeding. Seniors had shown a way and juniors had to take part in it. Now, I don't know whether juniors did it or not because I left that school. I would like to know about the forward journey from Muammar Magam, if I can, if I'm pronouncing it right, Muammar.
Yes,
How did it go?
yes, yes. So, and the story continue. And this camp days is one of the best school days. And I remember when we start the night, and there was a voice coming out of the camp territory. Though the supervisor told us, don't leave the camp, but the voice crying for help coming outside the camp borders. So I was very curious from where is the voice is coming from. Then what I have done, I wake up my friend Hakim because I know he's very courageous and he will help me to find out from where the voice coming from. So we went out the camp, myself and my friend Hakim, against the advice of the supervisor. And we start walking in the jungle. And the voice started going further and further away. And Hakim, though he's very courageous, he advised me to go back to the camp because we're getting far and far. And in this dark night, we might not know how to go back to the camp. I know Hakim is very wise, but still I was hearing the voice a little bit from far. And we start hearing voices for a bear is going around us. So what we have done, I told Hakim, now we need to go back. So I would like to ask Toastmaster Rola to continue the story.
Toastmaster
Rola around?
Rola? Rola, are you with us?
I think Rolla said taking care of a child. or a-
Okay. Then we'll go to Jawad. Akib, Jawad.
He just spoke. Yeah.
I spoke. Okay. And then I will give it to Rukaya, our Toastmaster of the day.
So I was also one of those juniors to whom Akif gave some of the advices about how should I be obeying my teachers and how I should be listening to them so that I could excel in my life. But the problem was I was the notorious one. So I never bothered about listening to what teachers were actually telling. I was the one who would like to live by the rules of my own self. So I did what I wanted to. But somewhere in life, I regretted the decision which I took in the school of not listening to what my teachers were actually telling. Not that I was not successful or I was regretting some of the life decisions which I took, but I was somehow regretting that how I was not disciplined at the time when I was actually required to be disciplined. So when I went back to a reunion of my school, I advised my juniors, giving my own example, that how I have been regretting the decision of not being disciplined and being the notorious one. So they should not be repeating the same. And they should stand by the decisions or the advices which their teachers are giving to them, which would be more authentic and more supportive for them to excel in whatever they will be doing in their future life. With that, I would like to conclude and I would like to give it to Kathy.
Okay, we learn a lot from the classmates and the teachers. Now, my dear teacher Charles told us, my dear friends and classmates, now let's sit down and do the meditation together because we are sit in the solitary place. You can smell and you can listen the sound of the wind, and you can see the river and you can see the mountains. You can feel it. Now let's do the meditation. Please close the eyes and just to listen and feel it. During the process, I think all the students and the teachers really felt so comfortable in the nature. During the meditation, we saw a lot of the story, or we saw a lot of thoughts in our mind. And we saw the school life with the classmates, and we see how hard the camping journey. Now let's back to the tiger to continue the story.
I love mountains. And I love listening to people speak. I think, who is my favorite table topics person today? This is your challenge right now. Everyone in chat, put a name in chat. Who is your favorite today? You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Put in chat, who was your favorite today? It's okay, everyone can see. We're all friends here. My favorite, I'll start it out. My favorite was Kathy. So let's see what we got. Look at this, Kathy, Michelle, not Michelle. Look at this, we're all over the book. Kathy, Michelle, Mumar, yes, Mumar was clever. Right on. Go ahead, come on, you guys, don't be shy, it's okay. We're all friends here. Amy, that was fun. That was very creative and that was fun. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to give it back to our table topics. Master of the day.
Tabletop. Can I? Okay, I'm gonna do a quick wrap up because a key point was that we had our ending. we got a summary. So we set off on our sugar highs into the mountains to meet our seniors, to learn our lessons. We got to go on an adventure. We heard some bears. We heard crying in the woods. Then we got away from that because it was terrifying and it didn't feel like a good idea. Back to the camp, met our teachers, learned some wisdom, had a meditation, took it all in, and I had a blast. I hope all of you did too. I'd like to hand it back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Amy, for conducting a table topic session. But before you wind up, I would like to ask you that back in school, which chapter or which particular lesson you learned, which you think was really entertaining for you? Any book chapter related to any subject.
Oh, that's a big question. Okay, I've got to answer that quickly. I have we used to do theater in school, so we used to do plays. So it's I can't zone in on one, but I just remember that being so much fun as a young kid, getting to dress up. And my mom was really good at making the costumes, so I would always get to be the queen or some extravagant thing because it was guaranteed I'd have the good costume for it. It's a lot of fun as a little kid, having my little outrageous thing with loads of jewels standing there. So that's a good fond memory, and I'm sure those plays were loosely based on something educational.
Thank you so much, Amy. Now, moving on to our last session, that is evaluation round, I would like to call upon our general evaluator of the day, Ms. Yasmin Pelwala. And for you, this is my last question for the meeting, that define the theme back to school.
Ooh la la. That's a 3-word explanation. Ooh la la. I think we all have sort of very mixed feelings from the school, and school learnings are something which have stayed or gonna stay with us everywhere, because that's the first exposure for us away from our family, isn't it? Like a family away from the family, imagine as a child. So for me, this theme was, I felt as if I'm in a class, like a prop class, where I could still be like in my 2 ponies, things that we have to have as a kid going to school. And discipline. Oh my God, that's the only thing I hated in school. Disciplines. Tell me, everyone, were you not waiting for that period bell to ring so that we just can all run out of the class? Yeah, so thank you for that question, Ruku. Loved the theme. Getting back into the evaluation session, general evaluation or the evaluation session in Toastmaster is the key, because this is the only forum where we wait for feedback, isn't it? And we wait to know what we did well, how we did, what is it that we can improve. And this is the unique nature of Toastmasters, because as important as it is to speak, is equally important for us to give positive feedback, even the critical way we have to deliver it constructively. I would like to invite the only evaluator who had to evaluate 3 speeches in a way and who graciously took the challenge, which is Mary, to please come on the stage and provide feedback to Tiger's speech. Mary, the floor is yours.
Thank you, General Evaluator Yasmin. I always look forward to speeches by Tiger because I know 2 things. He's going to make me laugh and he's going to teach me something. And I'm using my fingers, but it's not showing up on the screen. And he didn't disappoint. He did both of those things today. He created a foundation speech that allows us to build on our own speeches from. There were just so many positive things. I'll just highlight a few of them and I'll give him a little more in the written one. His conversational manner, very confident, very casual, has a nice smile, great use of hand gestures. He used his fingers when he was saying the number one thing that people fear is speaking, even at a funeral. And it made us laugh. Even as he said, the most serious subjects, you can still find humor in it. And he showed us that by putting some into his speech. About climbing up the ladder when he was scared, or the rope and swinging. He could really allow us to visualize and almost go along with him on his trip up that rope. Just excellent gestures. I liked how he used the area in the camera, which I am finding that a very difficult thing to do in Zoom, is moving around. Even when you're standing and speaking, you have such a limited space. But he showed us it can be done, and he gave an example of a phrase that he went from the left to the right and then ended in the center. So great use of that. I liked how you handled the question and answer session. I think you did a great job there, and you were already had a back up technique. If people didn't raise their hands, hey, I want you to put something in the chat. So he was ready for the instance that people didn't have a question for him. Difficult to find some suggestions, but one that I did is that I like to have visuals. And I'm finding, particularly as I'm now learning a second language, it helps me to visualize things that I want to remember. So with our audience here, I think one, just having the letter of speech, S-P-E-E, come up would help us to remember it. And also a PowerPoint that might have your main points to help us remember it. But I liked how you repeated points you wanted us to remember. And I liked how you concluded with the worst conclusion ever, but it made us laugh. So we ended that speech on a laugh. And that was the message I got away with, that speeches were my foundation. I like the mnemonic device of speeches, or the acronym. And it was, as always, 20 minutes of a very entertaining, wonderful, got to know a lot of things in that speech. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Mary. You nailed the evaluation, given that it is really not easy to evaluate a 20 minutes speech in just 3 minutes. You did a great job. You set the example of how an evaluation should look like, meaning it should have the good elements, but at the same time, what the speaker needs to really work on. Tiger, I would also personally like to congratulate you for delivering this project. It was not a regular speech, but the thing that stand out to me were two. First, you demonstrated the elements you wanted to have in your speech yourself. For example, when you are talking about vocal variety, you yourself were mentioning the vocal variety. So that was the example. You demonstrate what you preach. The second thing that stand out was the interaction. We know that most of the time we struggle to get the questions, but somehow the speech was so persuasive that almost everyone had questions and you had answers to all of them. So kudos to that. Thank you for the speaker and the evaluator. Moving on, I would like to invite our other critical and important role players. I would like to call upon stage our grammarian first to see, have we laid the foundation right of the language, foundation of the language correct or not? So please let's welcome Christina to give us the evaluation.
The grammarian report or the R counter? Grammarian.
The grammarian report. We have Stephen as the R counter.
Sure. We started off with a word of the day, which actually wasn't that well used, but the times that I heard it were from Charles, from Mary, and from Yasmin. So my apologies if I missed anybody else along the way. I was busily trying to write down lots of things from Tiger's speech. I really liked some of his language. I personally like an acronym, and I haven't heard any of Michelle's speeches with acronyms, so I will look forward to that. But Tiger says it keeps you on task. I really like that. So I'm going to just run over the one that he used. S for structure, P for practice, E for enthusiasm, E for engagement, C for communicator message, and his favorite H for humor. I liked that. Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. This is 6.5 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. And I actually liked the way he reinforced that the introduction and the conclusion should be memorized. It's sometimes easier said than done. Maybe it's lacking in the practice department. So I had lots of great things to say about Tiger. Just one tiny thing. If you're going to create a word picture, please make it a good one. And puking didn't tick that box for me. Yasmin talked about one of our bulkiest seniors. I was expecting quite a beefcake there. Anyway, Akib had some really nice language. They're not going to pass the baton. He was excited to start new territories, and teachers are going to show us the meaning of life and how to get ahead. Beautiful expressions there, Akib. Muammar, I liked the way he said that the voices of the bears persuaded him to go back. I thought that was really quite clever. Roku was the notorious one. She wanted to live by her own rules. I thought that was beautiful. Just a little thing that Roku said earlier, she was commenting on Melva's lovely smile. And I'm not quite sure what she said, something like, I'd like to steal that from you, but I think I would prefer if she'd said, I'd love to emulate that. I just think it would be a more elegant way of saying that. And Melva does have a lovely smile. I think we could say that. Kathy described the setting for the meditation, and she gave a lovely description, and I didn't write it all down. Amy did a terrific summary of the story. She learned some wisdom and she had a blast. And Mary had some really nice language in her evaluation. She knew Tiger would make her laugh and teach her something, and he didn't disappoint. And moving on Zoom is difficult, but it can be done. Overall, I think it was a really fun meeting. Good language. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Grammarian. It is really nice to hear that we did good in language, given that most of us are using English as our second language, and this comment coming from a native language speaker makes a difference to us. And I really sincerely appreciate your listening skills. I wish I could be a good listener like you, and that's the beauty of grammarian role, to really pay keen attention to what others are saying. It goes beyond the regular listening. So thank you for living up to the job so well, Christy. I have to go next to the R counter, and I hope that R counter is familiar to the rule of RSS that we should not be evaluating general evaluator for R counting. Okay, so with that, you can go ahead.
Okay, so let's start with Amy. Amy, you used and 4 times, so 1 time, are 1 time. Michelle, you use and 3 times. Yasmi, our general evaluator, you use and 3 times, and I twice. Aqua, you use so twice, and 5 times, are 1 time. Muma, you use so 3 times, and 11 times. It's a great story though. I mean, there's so many and, but it's a great story. For Mary, you use 7 times and are 5 times, but I really love your evaluation for Tiger's speech. It was great. Next one is Christina. I loved your evaluation. I wish, like Yasmin said, I could be a good listener like you. You had 7 times and 4 times are. For the rest of the people, I didn't document any. Yeah, back to our general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Counter, for living up the role. You did extremely well, and you set a lesson for us that we should not give our counter role to someone who is very good in mathematics. Moving next, we have Timer, who has been very meticulously keeping the track of how we are doing on time. So may I please invite our timer Melwa to give the report?
Thanks, Yasmin. I think today is hard role player that I ever did. Wow, my brain almost got stuck. So if I can conclude, Tiger, you spoke over time. And for table topic session, Akib, you were over. And the last one, Mary, you were 2. I think that's it. Back to you, Yasmin.
Thank you very much, Melwa. I know the timer's role is not very easy. The only role I want to avoid is timer's role, given that we have to be so alert. So thank you for doing that well. And I'm surprised that in other clubs or other speakers face the problem of under-timing, but our speakers, both of them who missed it were overtimed. So let's keep that also in mind, that we should not be overtiming ourselves. Moving next is my evaluation, I guess. I hope I have covered all the role players. So for me, this was a meeting which was undoubtedly to go well, given that we had a very energetic and dedicated Toastmaster of the day. So we knew that whatever is coming, being taken sincerely. So you have lived up to the expectations, Toastmaster of the day. Very well done. We had Table Topic Master, who also did not disappoint us, given that we know she's very creative, innovative in the way she brings up things. She did a great in making us understand the meaning of storytelling, how the story has to be narrated, and across in a collective way, the collective storytelling. But my feedback for table topic session is that it allowed us to really pay attention to the speaker, to all the speakers. But I felt that perhaps people would have felt it difficult to tag, given that some of the members or maybe the guests would not know who to pass on next. So we could just bring in this element. There could be a way, the way table topic master could get control on it is that either you could ask the people to raise their hands or explain it a little bit more so that the guests feel they get it, like who is going to come next, or they can order it yourself. So just with that one element, I think this was a great add-on in table topic session. For other role players, I have provided my feedback to them during the meeting, and I must say that I'm amazed that we were all on time, given that we were switching between the Zoom links, but we did it well there as well. So with my unbiased and in a way biased impression of RSS, being always doing well and learning from the mistakes, I give it back to the Toastmaster of the day, Ruku.
Thank you, Ms. Yasmin, for conducting a smooth session. And with this, I would also like to wind up my role and give it back to our president, Ms. Yasmin Tilman.
Oh my God, that didn't allow me even to breathe properly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ruku. Indeed, it is, who can be more delightful than me to see so many faces on the screen? And I'm so happy that most of us have put on our video, because as I say, and I feel that it's always important when we can see the audience, because the power of virtual media is that we are connected from different parts of the world, as we are now. We are sitting in so many different time zones, so many different regions of the world, but we are all together. And at the same time, we can feel each other. But it is always different. It's difficult. So if we switch on our videos, it makes a whole lot of difference. I have to give floor to our guests, because I'm just keenly waiting to hear from them as to how they feel. I know we have two guests among us who have joined us for the first time. And Muammer, you know it is coming. I'm just so eagerly waiting to hear from you. How do you feel about our meeting, Muammer?
So first of all, thank you very much, Yasmin, for the invitation. I'm very pleasantly surprised with a beautiful meeting, beautiful Toastmaster from, as you mentioned, from different time zones, from different places, coming together for one cause, learning and growing together. So that's a wonderful club. I'm really pleased to be there with you. And the other surprise, I never knew that your club is a storytelling. So that's another beautiful surprise. They say people who, the storyteller never die. They disappear in their own story. So that's beautiful. And the other thing they say, the storyteller, in the storytelling is the oldest form for education. So like this is some old things, the storytelling, remember the grandfather and, they use the storytelling to educate the young and encapsulate the time and move it from generation to generation. So the story is always live beyond one generation. So amazing team, amazing flow. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure. And Tiger, fantastic, amazing tips. I have a lot of takeaways from your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muammer, for your kind words. Coming from you means a lot to us. And we hope that you will be able to join us as many times you can. To everyone who is watching this video, we meet every Monday, same time, 7 a.m. Pacific time, using the same Zoom link. So you just need to register our link one time. Yeah, you is there, but I'm just going to officially adjourn the meeting and then continue with our further feedback. Just find